Hello everyone and welcome to Sambhav Law. In today's session, we have All India rank 42 Utkarsh with us, who has scored a very good rank in the CLAT PG exam, and he is here to share his story as to how he cracked this paper and how he went about his whole journey. So accordingly, Utkarsh, I would like you to welcome you to the channel, and I would also like that you please introduce yourself to the audience, please.
Thank you, sir. My name is Utkarsh, and I'm pursuing a 5-year BA LLB course from Dr. RML NLU, Ram Manohar Lohia National Law University, Lucknow. And I secured a 42nd rank in CLAT PG this year.
So Utkarsh, if I come to my first question as to how did you start your CLAT PG preparation and what were the things जो कि आपने करी थी while preparing for this exam?
So first of all, I started my preparation in May because I had to prepare accordingly. I had my end semester exams in November, so I knew I won't be getting any time later on. So I had to start slightly before others would, and I tried to get my grasp clearly on those basic subjects, which are constitutional law, criminal law, all the three, and family law, property law, contracts. These were those subjects which I knew I had to get my hold on before like jumping onto other subjects, and including international law and jurisprudence, and also environment.
And to Utkarsh, if I come to the part that what were the sources basically जो कि आपने use किए थे while preparing for the paper itself, like in these subjects when I talk about that.
The sources I mainly referred to the class notes which I had while I was there in the college. Then from Sambhav Law's material, also the case laws which the Sambhav Law coaching provided, it helped me a lot. And apart from that, I also always regularly visited the Supreme Court website. It has a page where the summaries of recent judgments are given. Then the compendium which were given by the coaching, those materials sufficed my preparation.
And I understand that. Asha, coming to my next question, like if I talk about the paper pattern itself, Utkarsh, so as we have seen that this time around, there were a lot of laws that were in the previous exams we see, like constitutional law or criminal law, they were giving a lot of importance. This time around, that pattern changed, and there were two, three things that were also different. So when you were sitting in the examination hall and while you were giving the paper, what was your reaction to that, and what would you say were the changes that were made majorly?
Indeed, it was a bit of a shocker. I had prepared constitutional law well, and I'm not very good at property law and contract law, which were asked this year. So, yes, the basics, the preparation of the basics, it helps a lot. It is something which would take anyone way far than they expect. And this year, this it seemed that they did not focus on the recent judgments at all. There was only a few questions which are asked from the recent judgments. So yes, then again, basics would suffice, and it was at first I was a bit shocked in the paper. It basically it changes the frame of your mind. You go with a frame of mind in the examination, and things don't happen that way. It bothers you, but then eventually after like say 20 minutes, I got hold of it, and then I proceeded with the paper.
Okay. And see, Utkarsh, like if I talk about the general strategy while preparing for the CLAT PG exam, we basically say that you need to focus upon the foundational subjects, then the recent landmark case laws, then mock test paper practice. In all these three areas, if we talk about as to, according to you, which area should be given the most importance and how should one, balance out their preparation accordingly? What would you say about that?
I would say you need to first focus on the basics. It is very essential, and CLAT can be very unpredictable. This year, it asked more of those subjects which were not frequently asked. Might be possible that for the next year they may focus more on the recent cases. So you cannot predict the paper. So it is on the safer side. I would recommend first of all clear your basics, the landmark cases of all the subjects. Just because of the fact that constitutional law was not asked more this year doesn't mean that you have to focus less. So this is something which is my take on this.
I can understand. And what would you say about the subjects that are not that important? If I say about SEBI or the other laws that were asked in the exam, so like, what would your strategy be in preparing for these subjects?
My strategy for those subjects would be, it would vary, I guess. Like say for SEBI, for instance, this year those questions which were asked, they were not very deep. Uh,
Yeah,
they were, they could have been done if a person has a, like
basic
say a
understanding.
basic knowledge of those subjects. So you need to go through them once or twice. You need to look at those subjects, but you do not need to like focus entirely on those subjects so as to miss out on the major chunk. I would say just having a brief overview of those subjects would suffice.
Yeah, that is true. And also, Utkarsh, if I talk about the point that if a person is studying, for instance, the case laws and all, so there is a debate that you need to study the whole case judgment and then you only have to study the case law brief. What would you suggest as to, when should we go for a deep analysis of the whole judgment and when should we only focus upon the case law summary? What would you say on that?
My take would be that as a person, there is only so much I can do. If I start reading the entire judgments, I won't have time to cover more judgments, first of all, and I would not have much time to cover the basic subjects. So, my take would be there are certain judgments which we understand that these are important. We need to focus more on them, maybe go a bit deeper on those, but you can't go and read the entire judgment. It is futile, in my experience. It helps you in your in increasing your reading speed, but I believe when you have a paucity of time, do not go for the reading of the entire judgment.
Entire judgment. That is true.
Summaries can be very
Yeah, yeah, please
right.
carry on. Please carry on.
Summaries can be very helpful. The Supreme Court website, SCO, the compendium which are given by the coaching, they can be very helpful for that matter. You just need to get the ratio of the case, which is more important for us, rather than going into the details as to the facts and other things. That's not very relevant. So yes, that would be
I
my
see.
take on it.
I see. And accordingly, if I talk about the mock papers, like if one is practicing, so according to you, in order to get a rank under 100, what should be the amount of mock papers one should give, and what is the type of mock papers one should attempt for? What would you say on that?
My take would on that would be that you need to give a varied, uh, you know, there are different patterns which the CLAT has been asking. 10 questions, 5 questions, 6 questions. So you need to uh, say you need to have a fair idea of, and you need to be prepared that you would be able to perform in different situations accordingly. So you need to be prepared for that and prepared for surprises. I believe mocks help you in getting prepared for those surprises, and there are random questions which are asked in CLAT. So the mock papers can be very helpful. Like my mock papers of Sambhav Law, they were very helpful in assessing my weaknesses, my strengths, and also the sectional tests. They can give you a very fair idea of where are those areas where I lack, and that's what helped me to prepare accordingly.
I
That
understand.
was.
I understand. Acha, now coming to my next question, Utkarsh, if I talk about the paper that will happen in 2026, now there's there are a lot of students who will be giving that paper. So if you were in their shoes, what would be your strategies to how you would go about it, preparing for if you start right now?
If I start right now, I would be preparing like as a fresher. I would suggest to focus entirely on your basics. First of all, cover your basics as soon as possible. That uh, would help you in ways which maybe you may not be able to think of right now. So it can be very helpful. It in the actual paper, those basics helped me through the TPA and the contract section because I'm not very good at those subjects. So it helped me a lot. And then I would focus on the landmark judgments and then the recent ones because, and I would suggest to focus later on these things, the landmark and the recent judgments, because you have to cram it at the end of the day. And that if you prepare it beforehand, there is a very big possibility that you would end up forgetting
Yeah,
like towards the end of your preparation and
exactly.
maybe even yeah. So keep that for later. Focus on the basics and trust your mocks. And I would also suggest that do not like get disheartened. I scored 45 or 50 in my first mock which I
We had
did.
a nee, actually
So
after the paper also, Utkarsh, we had a conversation and you had sent me a lot of objections as to, sir, these are the questions that you think are objectionable. So that was also a point there. We had a discussion and basically before the exam, you were scoring very very well, and also after the exam, when your score was around like 61, 62, if I'm not wrong. That was a very very big time that we were basically a bit disheartened, I would say. What would you say about that?
I indeed was very disheartened by the scores from the provisional answer key. Of course, it increased after the actual paper, final answer key came out. And this year, it I mean, this was very controversial this year, the paper. So yes, do not get disheartened. Do not lose hope. First of all, believe in yourself. That's very important. And my suggestion would be to make sure that you cover things thoroughly.
That is very important.
That is the only way. And yes, that can be uh, like the key to your success.
Yeah,
That's
and
what I
basically
believe.
that is that one thing that basically worked out for your case as well, because being thorough in every subject, knowing as to what are the ins and outs, having the basic, and after that, if you read a case law, even if you don't have a basic understanding of a particular subject, how would you read a case law and understand what is written inside the judgment itself? You need that basic understanding to even have a chance at interpreting as to what the judge is saying. So basics are very very important. So firstly, you need to, and like also, Coach, if I talk about the right time, because timing is very important. So basically you had said that you started in the month of May. For a student who has not been preparing that well in college, like there are a lot of students who have started their college in COVID itself, and they have not been given proper education as to the basic subjects and all. What would be your take? Like when should a student start if he's totally blank, like college में कोई ज़्यादा पढ़ाई नहीं किया and all? What would you say about that?
Focus on the bare acts. I
Yeah.
mean, it's very important to focus on those bare acts. That is the foundation.
Hmm.
And from there, that's how you build upwards.
Yeah.
There is no, and of course, you cannot go through like the in-depth understanding. I would not at all suggest you to read, say, the entire commentaries or books for those subjects. It is very, very time-taking and not very fruitful. So I would suggest reading the bare acts would be helpful. Then you can always supplement it with your notes and the coaching material, the college notes if you have them. That can say supplement your knowledge of the bare act. And of course, you need to have your doubts clarified beforehand because they can like enable you to understand things in a better manner so that you can connect dots
Yeah.
and mark your answers in the mocks as well as in the final exam.
And yeah, and also this is also a very valid point that you had basically suggested, because when you are giving mocks, it is not just about giving the mocks, it is also about analyzing them afterwards once you have given them. Because if you don't do that properly, you will never know as to what mistakes you made, basically, I think.
Exactly. That's probably the most essential part. And this is the part which a lot of people miss out. And I believe that you need to, first of all, figure out now, you need to figure out that these are the questions, these are your weaknesses. Now, if you don't know your weaknesses, you won't be able to remedy those weaknesses so as to perform better. There would come a situation, there would come a point where your marks would not increase after a certain limit. That is the point where analyzing the marks becomes very, very
Very
important.
important.
It happened with me as well. I mean,
I
it
know.
happened with me.
I know.
I was not securing marks above a certain level.
Threshold.
So I also talked to you, sir.
Uh,
It helped me. Analyzing the mock, it does enable you. And of course, sectional tests will also go a very long way in uh, assessing that.
assessing that, and also like there is a certain element of luck as well, because as I remember our conversation as well, and even after that, like, if you're scoring already like 42, your score is around like 69, 70, and the highest score is 80. So that 10 marks difference, it is not in your hands completely as to if you want to get into a PSU, you need a rank under, under 20 or under 10. So that is not in your hands, is what I basically believe. It is a very, very big, like there's a big factor of luck in this also.
Nothing supplements your hard work, I
Yeah,
believe.
exactly.
I I believe I could have performed slightly better if I just had the time to revise certain basic things, certain basic subjects, including TPA and contracts before my exams. Of course I did not get time because of my exams, my college exams, but had like that revision at the end moment, it helped me a lot, and it would have helped me even more if I was able to prepare those subjects, to revise those subjects. So I believe it was not a game of luck. It was obviously my hard work.
So
And
that is
had I worked slightly harder, I could have beaten that luck and got
luck.
over it.
Yeah. And
So
also,
I think,
Utkarsh, I think so that, see, also the fact that, if you look at the last 5 years paper, it is the given that constitutional law and criminal laws, international law jurisprudence will always be given a lot of weightage, and the subjects like TPA, environment, torts, these are not that important. Now, if this year around they change the pattern in such a manner that all the 5 year patterns have been set aside and the new pattern is there and you are facing the paper, so that particular, that 5%, 10% thing, like nobody can, change that. And that is that, like the point you had pointed out, that after a certain threshold it is very hard to increase your marks. And I'm talking about that particular part, that basically requires a bit of a luck, is what I'm saying.
maybe it does slightly, but you need to be thoroughly prepared. You need
Yeah,
to, like, when you're securing a fort, you need to fortify it from all the sides.
exactly.
So this this fort needs to be fortified from all sides. You cannot give an excuse saying that this has been given less weightage, so I would prepare it less.
I can
Right.
understand.
So
Yeah,
this is how it is. Have
yeah,
a
exactly.
basic understanding
No,
at the
I,
very least.
Hani, basically, I am agreeing with your fact because see, it is also about the fact that you cannot give excuse, and it's, the mindset of every person is a bit different. Some people are a bit, self-reflective as to, there are certain things that I could have done better, so my score would have increased. And there are certain people then, they basically say that luck was not maybe in their side, but we need to come somewhere in the middle where you also understand this. Yes, there are certain things that one in my hand, I could have done it better in your case, as you had rightly pointed out. And there are certain things that might have happened, and it could be. So basically, we need to come to a middle ground. And because see, it is also important to have that faith in yourself, because there are a lot of students like Utkarsh, if I talk about, like who have not scored that well, because paper was of a manner ki jahan par, even though they practiced a lot, mocks बहुत करा, case laws बहुत पढ़ा, last year के पैटर्न के हिसाब से बहुत तैयारी करा, did not score well. तो वो स्टूडेंट्स काफी ज्यादा डिसहार्टेंड एंड दे बेसिकली नीड कि हाँ भाई, हमें भी एक वो होता है ना कि एक सेंस ऑफ वो रहे कि हाँ भाई, मेरी भी गलती मैं मानता हूँ, बट समवेयर पेपर भी कुछ थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट है तो उसमें मैं कुछ कर नहीं सकता, नेक्स्ट टाइम मैं उस चीज का ध्यान रखूंगा. दे नीड दैट पर्टिकुलर थिंग इन ऑर्डर टू स्टे कॉन्फिडेंट कि आगे भी उनको जब पेपर्स देने हैं तो ये ना हो कि उनका कॉन्फिडेंस इस पर्टिकुलर इंसिडेंट की वजह से डाउन हो जाए. तो इसलिए थोड़ा सा मुझे लगता है कि हमें उस चीज को भी
Indeed.
एक वो देना चाहिए. व्हाट वुड यू से अबाउट दैट थोड़ा सा?
Indeed. I mean, I personally believe that in order to improve, first of all, it's very necessary for me to accept that there was some fault or there was some lack on my part.
Yeah,
And of course, there are certain things which, say, luck plays
slightly. Yeah,
a slight part in your preparation, but you can't leave everything to
yeah,
chance.
yeah, that is most
So
important.
at least,
Most important part.
even if I was not even if I was not able to perform very well in the paper and I had prepared very well, at least I would not have that regret
Huh.
in my head that I was not
Yes.
able to perform very well because of so and so reason. So yes,
No,
you
no,
need to give your 110%.
that is
Rest,
very
leave
important.
it on chance.
Yeah, that is 100%. Like, Utkarsh, like you have pointed out very like such a fundamental thing, because that is the mindset that person needs. That is very important. You have pinpointed a very fundamental thing, I'm telling you. Acha, apart from that, like like the students basically who had not scored that well, and जिनका एग्जाम उतना अच्छा नहीं गया, what would be your message to them basically? आप उनको क्या कहना चाहोगे?
First of all, I would say that this is not the end of the world. It was an exam. It will come again.
Yeah.
You have gained something from it. That can be your knowledge, can be your experience. You know how to perform better now. So believe in that. And yes, I mean, family, friends, every people around you, they can be a very big, factor, very big support system for you. And at this point of time, I believe it's very necessary to lean on to them. This is where you need them the most. And yeah, just because you didn't score very well in one paper, it doesn't mean that you are not competent enough.
Yeah. Fact.
Give yourself, don't be too harsh on yourself. Give yourself a break and try again.
Yeah.
This is not the end of it.
Yeah, and that is most important. And Utkarsh, like you have articulated it very well, I would say. Really, thank you very much for the time you have given, and accordingly, the things that you have pointed out, the mindset, the ways, the things that I think will be very useful to students who are preparing for this exam, because you are someone who has been in the college. You are in your ninth semester, 10th semester, and you have been like preparing continuously in the college itself. You have not taken any like extra coaching or something like that. It's all your effort. Okay, so basically is important for a ninth semester student, that I need to score well in this paper, even though I'm not getting that well, like PSU level का मेरा top 10 में नहीं आया, still I'm doing good, and I will go ahead and मैं कुछ ना कुछ अच्छा करूंगा, either be it CVT, either be ILI, IIT Kharagpur, and there are a lot of papers जो कि इसके आगे होंगे, but this particular point that you have articulated is very important. And basically एक familiarity वाली बात होती है, because there are a lot of हमारे candidates who are preparing for judiciary, जो कि 2-3 साल से judiciary की preparation कर रहे हैं, और उनका जो एक perspective होता है कि how you prepare for the exam and कैसी चीजें होती है, वो थोड़ा सा seasoned होता है, थोड़ा सा उनके point of view से चीजें different होती हैं. While as if I talk about a person जो कि आप हो 9th semester में हो and you are fresh, ठीक है, आप उनके प्रोस्पेक्टिव से चीजें बता पाओगे, उनके पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से एक्सप्लेन कर पाओगे, तो दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. तो ये जो चीजें आज आपने शेयर करी, आई थिंक सो इट विल बी ग्रेटली हेल्पफुल फॉर ऑल द स्टूडेंट जो कि सेशन आज यहाँ पे देख रहे हो. तो थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर गिविंग अस योर टाइम, एंड accordingly, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.